Let's start with how well you are known or not known to the voters. I think it's fair to say that there are varying degrees of recognition you have, but for certainly two of you candidates, 99% of people in Maine had never heard of you 48 hours ago, maybe 6 or 7 minutes ago. So let me start with you, Lizzie Dickerson.
Sure.
What qualifications do you have to serve in what is not an entry-level job? What is an extremely important job in the United States?
Well, I actually have a Master's of Business Administration degree. I am a finance person as well. There is a lot of education I have on board in this department. I'm pretty good at reading budgets. I'm actually a town manager. I have been a town manager, and I can say that I've lowered people's taxes while also raising salaries and benefits. So there's there's one thing. But no, it's true. I mean, but I think the reason I'm doing this is because people have become disenfranchised. They feel like everyday people can't have access to their own government. The qualification for running for office doesn't really involve pretty fancy things. It involves being a citizen. As you know, you've probably read the Constitution and the laws. People feel like they just can't do that because there's so much money in government. They can't run. They'd never stand a prayer of a chance, and so that's why I've done it.
Dan Kleban.
Yeah, well, I am not a career politician. I've spent the last 20 years starting a business out of my garage, raising twins. I've grown my business from me and my brother to now over 100 employees. We provide a living wage. We cover 100% of their health insurance premiums. We provide for their retirement, and we've given millions of dollars back into our community to help preserve this wonderful state that we live in. In addition to that, I've served on numerous nonprofit boards. I'm on the board of the University of Southern Maine, my alma mater, and I've also served as the leader of the Maine Brewers Guild, helping small businesses grow small businesses here in Maine and revolutionize the beer industry in this state. And I went on to serve as the chair of our National Brewers Association, representing the interests of over 9,000 small businesses across this country, and making sure that small businesses had a seat at the table against the large multinational brewers. So people know Dan Kleban in Maine, and so I think people are sick and tired of career politicians, and I'd look to go down to D.C. and bring that kind of unique experience, which is sorely lacking.
Ashley Webb, what qualifications do you have to serve in the U.S. Senate?
Oh, I ran for office several times. Didn't win, but I did run. And then I'm a songwriter, and then I write my own books. And then I suppose my transparency, I wouldn't lie to the people, and I wouldn't deceive the people like we're being deceived right now. Like, we get lied to, smoke and mirrors, like what's going on with ICE, pretending like these victims did something wrong. Like, that's unacceptable. And I suppose the biggest thing is, like, I'm just an angry citizen now, and if I got elected, I'd be an angry senator, and I think that would probably be their worst nightmare.
David Costello.
Like Dan, I haven't held elective office, but I have, as I mentioned earlier, I've held senior level positions for over 27 years, actually. I was a top aide to Maine Secretary of State. I was a top aide to the Mayor of Baltimore. I was a top aide to the Mayor of Baltimore when he became governor. I also served as a country program manager for USAID and a country team leader for USAID, OTI, in countries like Cambodia, Kosovo, Bosnia, Haiti. I also helped to run the state's Department of the Environment in Maryland. So I've got over 27 years of senior level hands-on government experience. I believe I have the most experience of any of the candidates in this race for the United States Senate. I've also managed, instead of just talking about or legislating about public policy, I've actually managed complex multi-million-dollar operations and programs, not only in the United States, but as I've said, abroad. So I think that kind of perspective, as well as having grown up in a working class family with a single mother, widowed at 28, I think that kind of lived experience is one that's missing in Congress, and I think I could bring that kind of governing experience as well as lived experience, and that's why I believe I've got the most experience of the candidates and would provide the greatest contrast with Senator Collins, who has very little hands-on government experience.
Wait.
Yeah.
That statement needs to be called on.
Sure.
You just said Senator Collins has very little hands-on
Senator
experience?
Collins, I'm talking about the kind of hands-on, get your hands dirty, managing programs and operations, governmental programs. As you know, a legislator will talk a lot about programs, will talk a lot about legislation, but they've never managed, never fully managed the kind of operations and programs that I believe I have. And that's the kind of contrast I'm talking about.
Okay.